This is a First and 10 Monday on Coaching Football with Brian Clee.
Thanks for checking out this quick snap like last week. It's inspired by some guys I follow on Twitter. Started off with Coach Johnson posting a little bit of bunch nub. And then Coach Tatum came along, O-line guy, ended up talking about empty. Obviously, he wants to run the ball a little bit. And then Coach Moore offered up some defensive ideas, and that got the juices flowing and started brainstorming some ideas for game planning with bunch formation on one side and a wing formation on the other side out of empty. So in this first and 10 game plan, we're going to take a look at using a 3-3, ultimately a match cover 3, I guess. I'm not a cover 3 expert by any means, but it's something that I coached a little bit more in some 8-man this year. And then not an odd stat guy, but we did face a team that played some odd stat. And this is just something to challenge myself a little bit. How would I do it here? Hopefully this gives you some ideas. Give me some feedback on what you think. So first off, philosophically, if they're running buck sweep with a quick screen, that quarterback's probably their best player. You know, he's your number one guy you got to stop. And then whoever they're throwing the quick screen to is probably the number 2, unless, you know, some sort of screen and go is, you know, the other thing that they're going to try to do. They're going to make things look like screen and then get vertical on you. So first, you got to stop the run. I'd want to do that with a slant. Okay, jack linebacker, you're keen quarterback. If that ball never comes out, you're a cutback player. If that quarterback goes away, you know, chase him down, you got the cutback. Make sure something funky doesn't happen. Make sure if counter comes back, you're setting the edge hard on that. If that ball comes out, you go flying to it. You go chase it down. So stopping the buck sweep first. I want my Bob outside linebacker set a hard edge. So I'm going to put him outside shade of that wing. He gets most buck sweep teams. What I expect, down block here. We're trying to get underneath of it. Down block by the H. Down block by the tackle and reach by the center. Right here, okay, everyone says you need a big nose. I don't think you need a big nose. You need a nose that eats up 2 blocks. Because if that nose is trying to hit pocket that pulling guard, if he can do it successfully, it's tackle for loss. Okay? As the quarterback comes out, tackle for loss. So if he can force those 2 guys to double team, we're going to keep the linebacker level. They got 1 down blocker for 2 linebackers. We're going to keep that linebacker level clean. The guard goes to wrap. We want the will linebacker outside of it. The Mac linebacker, you are inside of the second puller. Bob linebacker's trying to constrict it as much as possible. We're not trying to spill here. I think we want the ball inside. I honestly haven't faced a ton of buck sweep in my coaching career, but I think I want the ball inside. At least that'd be the initial game plan. Tackle's working his cutoff. The end again, you're stepping flat on your slant. You're looking to chase and hit pocket. And then that jack linebacker, you're shuffling up. You're on the edge of the defense in case something funky happens. And you're cross keying that H for a possible counter coming up here. And then the corner's our absolute bonus guy. Okay, if that H doesn't miss his block, in theory they got everything blocked up. That Mac linebacker and that H, that's probably the most important of that thing. So that way we get the guard bracketed, and then the Jackson, that cutback area. Something that I coach our defensive backs to do. If I see the back of a receiver and he puts hands on guys, unless they're running some sort of delay that's crossing to the Mac linebacker, the jack linebacker, the guy that, you know, he's not in your zone anymore, pull your trigger, become an extra linebacker. Out on the perimeter, I like playing off against bunches. I think it's great against screen game. Come up there, point, really push. Anything that's not screen game, I think that guy gets lost and plays way too much of man coverage, and it opens up windows underneath. So the screen out here, he sees the X and the Z go wide. He is working his butt off to go set that thing to the sideline. So that way, hopefully both those blocks get used. Corner staying deep for screen and go. Free staying deep. That ball does come out. We want that 8 to cut back. The jack linebacker in the free, we got It's in space, so we want 2-on-1 blocking, okay? Need to get 2-on-1 tackling, in space, so that way we get that guy down and they eventually stop throwing the screen game. So that's how we take care of buck sweep and the screen, if that's their bread and butter and they're still ready for some sort of screen and go, which we'll talk about on the last two plays here. Stop and counter. Once again, we're in our slant. Okay, alluded to this already. At corner, we're going to key that Y and that H. If both those guys go vertical, I think I'm going to split both of them. I'm going to favor the inside one. I'm going to force the ball towards the sideline where there's some extra help. The Will should be able to protect my inside some. The Bob should be able to protect my outside some. Okay, I'm keying those two guys. Will and Mac are keying their guards. So their center blocks, their guard down, their play side guard down blocks, their center blocks back, their tackle. This Bob linebacker, he gets a tight end pull and the H going back. I'm going to chase it. I got to honor that quarterback, but if that quarterback's not carrying out a great fake, I can keep chasing it unless it's on film. If it's on film and that quarterback tucks it with 3 guys going away, we'll tell that Bob linebacker, make sure you hit the quarterback every single time. Okay? So tackle's got to block back on him, otherwise he could chase and hip pocket it, especially if it's not some sort of read. Tackles down blocking, play side guard pulling the kick, tight ends pulling the wrap. I want to spill here with our defensive end. We got the jack linebacker outside of it. He sees that quarterback go away, he starts working for cutback, and for that H, he's going to come up, set a hard edge, and now the tight end has him on the kick out. We got 2 guys for 1 down blocker. We want the Will working underneath it, the Mac linebacker working over top of it. If that guy goes vertical for the Mac and the Mac gets washed out, right there's the Will for the kill. And then we still have the corner as a late cutback guy. Matching the Snag out there. If it's straight drop back, we're going to get the jack linebacker out there, and I'm not worried about Snag much. Okay? Because he'd be able to, that spot route, he'd be able to drive on it with free safety help over the top. Okay? If they are pairing this as an RPO off potential counter, that's a little bit more problematic. They're going to, that corner route, we need to match it with our corner every single time. Strong safety, reroute it a little bit. You got to push to the flats. You don't have to push there until it's thrown. Let the 5-yard completion happen. Rally to it, okay? There is a lot of space, though, for that A-back to sit down unless we have that jack linebacker. So if they're able to do this off of RPO, we might have to do something a little bit different coverage-wise, especially if they're getting down close to the goal line. One of the answers might be some sort of pressure. Don't love the pressure against the gap scheme. I want to be able to rally 2 things. But that's how we would match that. The A shallow. So first get the routes going here. Here's the A on the shallow. They're going to make this, good offenses are going to make this look a little bit like the fast screen. So there's the post, there's the wheel, corner. You sit on that wheel, free, you play your deep third, you cover that post. Okay, we're inside leverage on the post with the free. We're leveraging the wheel with the corner. The strong safety. He takes his step up, he reads pass, he's dropping. Have him help where their more dangerous receiver is. Do they throw the post to the X more? Is he the better player? Do they throw more post or the wheel? By default, I would coach him. You're playing underneath that post, so that way that free can really stay deep over the top. We don't get beat by it. That crosser's coming, cross. Jack linebacker saying, don't drive until the ball's thrown. Because that Y's digging, okay? Mac linebacker and you should both be dropping. If that goes all the way across, keep yelling cross. That ball gets thrown later. Jack linebacker, you're going to pass it off. Let the Mac linebacker drive on it. You'll drive on the dig. These 2 guys got to sort out that shallow and that dig. Meanwhile, vertical by H, our Bob linebacker should be outside leverage on it. Cornerback, I would think you're making sure that both these guys don't go vertical before you worry about just playing the fade ball by the H or some sort of comeback by the H. And then lastly, they give us some sort of play action with the guards pulling. Number 1, if that tackle's not down blocking the nose, I'm hoping the nose can get a ton of pressure. I'm hoping the nose can beat the center because he's on slant. I would consider lining up in the gaps maybe to help a little bit, especially if we are matching counter well at the backer level and the wash that happens on counter. You know, you're getting that down block and you're not able to run that circle, you're getting back out on counter. I would consider playing in the gaps as well. Same thing, hopefully I can hit pocket here. I would play around with that jack linebacker if I feel like they're throwing a ton of play action. I feel like we can match three guys out there. It's not completely sound, but if they're not proficient throwing the ball, let him get off the edge and telling those three guys, hey, you got to be ready to run with crossers. That means we're going to be a little softer underneath, but we could have the jack linebacker go and have the Mac linebacker on at least drop back pass push out there. So vertical here, I do like the Bob linebacker outside because I think he's going to carry that. He gets an outside release. He should be able to carry that corner. You're going to melt. Mac linebacker, you get a vertical. You're walling it, so that way we funnel these two guys right to the corner's lap. And again, hopefully we get set the edge by the tackle. The Mac linebacker, you do see all those pullers though. In this case, I want you finding a run-through lane, probably secondary contain off the tackle. The tackle, I'd expect him to contain C-gap, but I don't expect him to contain the second puller. That's asking a little bit too much of a player, in my opinion. Mac linebacker, you make sure we set the edge. Hopefully we get hits on the quarterback there. And then they're, again, trying to make this look like a screen maybe. The strong safety, you're sinking. Reroute where you want to reroute more. Again, default, I'm going to make sure the post goes a little bit deeper. And then I'm going to rally. Only if the ball gets thrown out here do I have to rally down. Okay? I need to stay within, 10 yards of that guy. But until the ball is thrown, I don't have to, they're probably not calling play action to just throw the check down screen out there. And then the wheel here, corner, you're matching the wheel. Free, you're matching the post. Again, the strong safety, he could carry that to about 8 to 10 yards, rerouting it, and then rally if it is thrown to the check down. So that's how we cover that. Big idea, I think, anytime you're defensive game planning, know where their best guys are. If they're running a ton of buck sweep with the screen out there, and their best player is probably that quarterback, you got to make sure you stop the run game with the buck sweep. And then their second best player is probably one of those guys in the bunch, unless that H on the counter is the big threat. So take away those top plays, win first downs, get to 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, get to 3rd and 7 or more, where they become a little bit more predictable when you're putting together your game plan on 1st and 10.
If you think it would be fun to participate in a 1st and 10 Monday in some way, shape, or form, whether that is you presenting an offensive formation or two and how you would go about game planning against how I would try to defend that, and I'm going to exchange some ideas about how we're going to game plan to defend that offensive concept and those formations, or if you want to flip that script and you want to have me present an offensive formation or two and some offensive concepts and how we're going to game plan for how you would go about trying to defend us, and you're exchanging your ideas about how to put together a defensive game plan to stop that, that'd be great. There's my contact information. Hit me up on Twitter, leave a comment down below, or shoot me an email.